Today I'm going to be answering questions like what is the best character for first playthrough for new players and what is the best for seasoned soul players, how to best spend attribute points for each type of build, what's the best starting character for each type of build, and what does increasing stats in each attribute do. To start off with, I just want to note that on the right of the screen, two starting stats have changed, the prisoner and the prophet, so the numbers that are in parentheses are the correct numbers. To start off with, we're going to go over what does each attribute do. So most of the information is on the left of the screen, but I just have a couple of additional notes. So for mine, the FP bar also is needed for weapon arts and spirits. Unlike previous Souls games, this does not increase casting slots. You now gain casting slots through game progression. Strength is needed to equip weapons and increases damage only for strength scaling weapons. Dexterity is needed to equip dex weapons and only increases damage for dex scaling weapons. Also, it makes it harder to be knocked off the horse. Endurance increases how much you can block, dodge, and sprint. Faith is required for sacred incantations, fire, healing, holy, dragon. It increases the damage of faith scaling weapons and spells. Intelligence is required to perform Glinstone sorcery, and it boosts the damage of Glinstone spells or intelligence scaling weapons. Arcane is needed for use of certain spells and incantations, affects scaling of certain spells and weapon arts. Also, it increases resistance to instant death spells. So moving on, now we are going to get into the best starting character for each type of build and the attributes to invest in for each build. We're going to start off with 100% Glinstone Sorcerer. So the attributes that we want are Vigor, Mind, Endurance, and Intelligence. We want the minimum amount of strength and arcane, and when I say we want the minimum, I mean we want just enough to be able to equip the gear and spells we want to use. We want nothing over that amount. So our choices for the Glinstone Sorcerer are Astrologer or Prisoner. The clear winner is Astrologer is the stronger starting class. It comes with level 16 intelligence, 15 mind, 9 endurance, and 9 vigor, which are all pluses for the build. It also only comes with 7 faith and 8 strength, 2 stats we simply won't need. It also comes in at level 6 versus level 9 for the prisoner, so we get a +3 there because once we reach level 9, we'll have 3 more points that we can put into whatever we want, so we're obviously going to put it into the ones for the build. In the end, the Astrologer is a stronger class, coming in at +2 in useful stats over the prisoner once we reach level 9. Next up, we have the best starting character for faith-based magic and what attributes do we want for that build. For a faith-based class, we want Vigor, Mind, Endurance, and Faith, and we want the minimum amount of strength and arcane for our gear and spells. Our choices are the Prophet or the Confessor. The Prophet is the stronger in stats for a pure faith build. If you end up not needing the dex, which is questionable, it comes in at +10 over the Confessor. But worst case, even if you end up needing the dex, it still comes in at a +6. So for a pure faith class, the Prophet is the way stronger class. The Confessor is interesting as a hybrid class, but definitely for your first playthrough, I would think this is just about the worst thing that you can try to do, especially not knowing where the gear is. But in any case, for a pure faith class, the Prophet is the pure winner. Next up, we have the best starting class for a dex build and the wanted attributes for a dex build. The attributes that we want are Dex, Vigor, and Endurance. We want a minimum amount of Strength, Mind, and Arcane, just enough for gear and weapon arts. Our choices for this build are Warrior versus Samurai. The Samurai comes in at a +4 over the Warrior. If we take into account, we will eventually need the extra strength. Arcane probably isn't going to be needed, and Mind, we will eventually add a couple points into this anyway. If you end up doing a non-weapon art build, then the Samurai comes in at a +6 over the Warrior. So whether it's +4 or +6, it is significantly better overall for a dex build. The Warrior does get dual wield. It is worth noting that it is the only class that gets dual wield. So it is interesting in that regard. If you really wanted dual wield, you could take the Warrior. But for pure points, the Samurai does win. Next up, we have the best starting character for 100% strength melee build and the wanted attributes for that build. The attributes that we want are strength, vigor, and endurance. We want a minimum amount of dex, mind, and arcane, just enough for our gear and weapon arts. The choices that we have are hero versus vagabond. The vagabond comes in at a +2 if we take into account we're going to eventually need at least 10 in mind and 13 in vigor for an end build. It will also be able to use better weapons faster since it comes in with a higher starting dex. The Vagabond also has another thing going for it. Its starting stats are decent if you want to respect into a spellcaster. It comes with 15 vigor, 10 mind, 11 endurance, 13 dex, 9 intelligence, and 9 faith. For switching to a spellcaster mid to late game or new game plus, the Vagabond is +12 over switching from the hero. Next up, we have the best starting class for new players, which is the Vagabond. The Vagabond offers a very good starting stats for melee and offers the potential to swap into a spellcaster build mid to late game or new game plus without losing much on an optimal build. It also starts at level 9, the second highest starting level, and starts with a longsword, halberd, and shield. This gives it good close range combat, but with about as long of a reach as you could have in close range combat, making it even more effective to be able to deal out damage without taking damage. So it's a very nice starting class for new players. Next up, I have my best class for seasoned players. For seasoned players, the Wretch. The Wretch starts at level 1 with a club. Yes, you heard that right, or you already know. The appeal of the Wretch is that it starts with level 10 stats in every one of the attributes, and it's only level 1. We don't know much about the end game right now. So for players looking to do multiple or several playthroughs, for your first playthrough, everything you pick up looks good. You can just grab whatever. It really sucks to find cool gear early and be like, I needed something else. But the even more appealing part, as I said, we don't know what to expect with playthrough 1. So the Wretch has the best respec potential to convert into the build you decide to play with late game, or to swap to any build at any point without losing many points on an optimal build. So it's kind of like that versatile class that you can change into any class if you are going to be doing multiple playthroughs. So that is my choice for people looking to do NG7 plus several playthroughs. And that is all the information I have on these topics. I hope you found the information helpful. I will have many more Elden Ring videos for you in the near future.